Good evening, я вас вітаю, shalom and welcome. My name is Alina Miropolsky, and I provide decision-making coaching that helps my clients to make clear, intentional choices and changes that feel true to their soul. And one of the most important and interesting topics that I find very important to talk about is immigration. And I had a number of videos about immigration already, but today I want to talk about antagonism or opposition to immigration when we immigrated. And it's something very natural to feel. So I think it's very, very important and very helpful. And I hope you will watch this video till the end. And I hope it will have some positive impact on your experience if you recently immigrated or planning to immigrate. And when I'm talking about immigration, I'm talking about um, work visa for a long time. I'm talking about student visa. I'm talking about permanent immigration. I'm talking about repatriation, like Aliya. And all of this still can make us feel a lot of antagonism or opposition, even if we wanted to have this experience. We were looking for this job, or we wanted to move to that or other country. And of course, every case of immigration is unique and different because everyone has their priorities, goals, their families, and this is all very unique for every person. That's why one countries are a good match for one person and the bad match for other person. It's all natural and it's all very individual. But still, there are some things that are common for many immigrants, repatriants, people that move abroad for a long period of time, even if they are not immigrating like permanently, but still they need somehow to find themselves in a new environment, new society, new social norms, new people. Everything is very different. And that is why I thought that talking about these common patterns of behavior we often have on early stages of immigration or relocation or aliyah, wherever, um, sometimes they last only just, few months or a year or two. Sometimes people are getting stuck in those feelings and those like antagonism or opposition, whatever you call it. Sometimes people are really getting stuck in it for many years. And as someone who personally immigrated twice, as a teenager and as an adult, I can see that I saw it a lot, and that many people that I met are people that immigrated or made aliyah at some point of their life. And some of them moved 20, 30 years ago from their home country where they were born, and still they didn't integrate it successfully to a new country where they live, um, because they didn't let go of those feelings. And I need to admit that I personally, when I was a teenager and my family moved to Israel, I personally had some of those feelings too, and I understand from personal experience how hard it can be when everything around you changes, even if you wanted this to happen, if you wanted to move, it's natural that you will have some antagonism or opposition, as I told you, to a new place. So first of all, there are many things we can cover. I will talk about top 5 things, and then I will talk about 4 very important tips in addition to importance of recognizing those 5 patterns of behavior of thinking that we may have when we're moving to a new place. Okay. First of all, many of things are related to language. Language is a big deal, much bigger than you may imagine. And first of all, English can play a bad game with us. Can knowing English can be like tricky and working against us when we are moving to another non-English speaking country, because English is international language. It's pretty common that people in Western countries and, like, let's say, Western oriented countries, and in many other countries that are even not Western oriented, more or less you can find someone who speaks some English. And this tricky role makes us to think that, you know, I'm fine. I can ask things, I can read things, actually need this language of that country because I already know English. And it can be a barrier. And it's something that I had when I moved to Israel. I was a teenager, but I knew English pretty well. Not as good as I know it now, but I mean, I could explain basic things and ask questions and understand answers and have some basic conversation. While in Hebrew, I wasn't able to say anything except, like, shalom, and know the Atikva text basically by heart. Um, so at some point in the beginning, especially in a few months after I moved to Israel, I was like English is international language. Why we all will not just speak English? And it was, of course, like I was feeling more confident that I can, like, manage things than people that don't know any English. And they understood, like, okay, those people don't speak my language. I don't speak their language. I need to learn the language. Okay, and it happens a lot. And I saw some Americans that move in European countries and live there for pretty long time, and they don't have any even basic understanding of the local language. So it can happen in any language group in any country. Then when you immigrate, you have some opposition to learning a language, especially when you can explain yourself in international language such as English. Um, Also, linguistic and cultural isolation. Um, it's a problem when you are trying to live in a neighborhood where everyone speaks your language. And we can see it in every country. We can see it happening in America, that we see people that are trying to live in more um, neighborhoods that speak specific language. But what was interesting that recently I saw in other group where Americans were moving to not English speaking country, and the person says that she lives in the country for some time already. I would say 4 or 5 years, and she knows very very little of local language, and it makes her like upset and depressed, and she is lacking like communication because all her like communication is very basic. She's only talking very functional short um, conversations and not small talk and not just friendly talk and not talking about like general things. Only when she needs something very specific, she checks the vocabulary, and then she goes, for example, to bank and check things. And with a doctor, she say like few words in the language of the country, and then she switches to English, and the doctor speaks English to her. And um, she feels that she doesn't have enough friends, and she feels a little isolated. And I saw that comments that she's getting are more about like, oh, move to English speaking neighborhood. Oh, check where is a English speaking neighborhood, just move there. And basically I saw almost no comments that recommending her to go to classes, speaking groups, libraries, and I don't know, hire a private teacher or like invest in learning the language of the country where you moved. All the comments were more about find someone else who speaks English, move to a neighborhood that speaks English. And I'm talking about young women. I'm not talking about, sometimes parents immigrate to their children to like unify the family. For example, someone in late 70s can move to live near their children, and you can say, okay, it's really hard to learn a language in late 70s, so maybe it's time to just find some people that speak your language to spend time together. I'm talking about in my example, I'm talking about a real woman in her, I think, 20s, even not 30s. So, yeah, what I would recommend to pay attention to those two things. First of all, even if you know international language, you need to learn the local language, invest in it, your time and your money, and it will pay back. You will feel much more confident. You will meet new friends. You will find jobs easier, in easier way. You will really, really enjoy the country much more, and you will understand the culture and the country much more when you will know the language. The second thing, as I said already, is do not try to isolate yourself and live in your language group neighborhood isolated from other society. Just don't do it to yourself. Number three is a workplace. By the way, when I'm talking about isolating yourself in your language group, it also gets us to a conversation about fears. And we have a fear of not belonging, and fear of being rejected, and fear of not fitting in. And subconsciously, we can have those fears, and they will drive us to move to neighborhood where people from our country or our language group live, and avoid neighborhoods where everyone else live. Okay. Talking about fears, let's talk about fears of failure. Many people that they immigrate, they are trying to work in their language group companies where most of people speak their language and share their culture, and they will feel more confident that they understand what is happening. They will have less misunderstanding with the teammates and with their co-workers and with their managers, and overall everything looks more familiar because we are coming from similar culture, we speak same language, we'll understand each other more. Then I will go to company that is local, also like language barrier, language nuances, and also cultural. Will I fit in? Will I understand like what do they mean? How will we interact and all this? And people sometimes get stuck in those jobs for decades. And I'm uh, telling like literally decades. I personally met people that work in their like in companies where they are underpaid, but everyone around them, or almost everyone, speaks their language. And I saw people that work like this for decades, that moved, for example, to Israel in early 90s, and they never left the factory where they started to work when they moved, even if they got a job of an engineer. So the engineer was getting like much lower salary in this, for example, Russian speaking environment that they choose to themselves. Same happens in many other places, like in United States. We can see that there are Chinese businesses and Russian speaking businesses and Spanish speaking businesses. And some people really, really getting stuck there, even if they are underpaid. And it comes from fear of failure. So also it's important to be aware of this. Number four is feeling that your culture is superior. It's sort of antagonism to a new culture, new way of living. And no matter to what country people move from what country, I guarantee you they will criticize the new country in this way. We had it better, we had this better and that better and everything better, or many things better. And it's an interesting scene because like um immigration overall doesn't automatically mean that everything will be good. And we have some surrealistic expectations when we immigrate. It's very common thing. Subconsciously, if not consciously, we have this picture of everything is getting better in all aspects. And it's not true. For example, you can have better nature but less good public transportation. You can have more, I don't know, freedoms, but less, I don't know, something else that was very, very important for you. Some bureaucracy is very confusing. In your country, it was much more structured and organized. and maybe you don't understood the new culture, the new country, and the new bureaucracy. That's why the process looks like very complicated for you, or maybe it is more complicated, but overall you need to think, overall is it better, or overall is it worse to live in a new place. But be aware that this feeling of superiority, that in my country it was better, better in meaning like people are smarter, things are more rational, more logical. They look more rational and logical because we understand them more than the new things. In some cases, some things are true. Um, and of course, every normal country tries to develop itself in the best way. And some countries can be successful in some aspects more than others. But this overall feeling of superiority and like joking about new country and people and how everything is organized there doesn't help you to integrate better. So be aware of it. And number five is lack of interest in new countries' culture, traditions, history, holidays. I see it a lot. I didn't saw it a lot in Israel. I saw it at some degree, but here in United States, I see it much more, and this is sad. That many people are really not interested, not in culture, not in traditions, not in history. They just moved, and that's it. They like are so detached from this new country and culture where they moved. And I think it's harming you dearly because it's hard to accept and love a new place of living if you don't understand those things. So no matter to what country you move, to Finland, Greenland, United States, Canada, Australia, Israel, Croatia, I don't know, Hungary, you name it. Doesn't matter to what country do you move. If you will know their history, you will know their culture, you will know more about their traditions and holidays, you will think what of their holidays you can integrate into your family, at least when while you live there. For example, in United States, why not to celebrate, I don't know, Thanksgiving or Independence Day, that are not religious holidays, and no matter where from you move, it's just something American culture is celebrating. So you will feel more feeling of belonging, and you will integrate better, and you will enjoy the new country more if you know those things, and your integration will be easier, and it will help you also to have less antagonism to a new country. So when we don't understand things, they look weird, they look silly, they look irrational. Like, what are they doing? What are they wearing? Why are they doing this? It's not my thing. There is no such thing in my country. Like, for example, I don't know, Halloween or Independence Day or um, Thanksgiving, as I said, some people may feel like this is all weird. We don't have this. What are they doing? So, with this approach, you will really feel irritated. You will feel that antagonism. You will feel disconnected, and it will not serve your interest in any way. So, here, so those are also things that when you realize it, it already helps you a lot to integrate more successfully to a new society. Pay attention, I'm not saying assimilate, because sometimes by assimilation, people mean like fully forgetting all your background and everything and fully assimilating. I'm not against ideas of like remembering your language and teaching your children one, two, four more languages, or celebrating your ethnic holidays, of cooking your food that your parents and grandparents cooked in your home country, and teaching your children to cook those delicious dishes. I think it's good. And I think it's great knowing more languages, knowing more about more cultures, knowing your roots. I think it's good. So, but integrating, I think, is very important for healthy society of a country where you moved, and also for your comfort and your feeling of belonging and your ability to love the new place. But in addition to this, I have four more tips. I think they're very important. So, first of all, you do have a lot of your way of living um, that is lost. Like your normal life, your friends, your job, your parents, everything, like a lot of this was lost. And it's normal that you feel lonely, that you feel sort of grief, sad, and it can be confusing because you can feel like, why, but I wanted to move here, I wanted to get this job, or I wanted to do this aliyah, or I wanted to uh, get this student visa, or I applied for this green card, so why I'm so upset. So it's important to know that even if you like the new place, it's normal to be upset, because moving to a new place, it's also a lot of changes for good and for bad, because people we loved and places that we loved in our home country are left behind across the ocean, or maybe not across the ocean, but like many hours of driving or flying to your new place. By the way, relocation inside the country, if you live in a big country like United States or Canada, can also be felt as sort of immigration. If you're moving from Alberta or British Columbia to Quebec, or um, to, I don't know, New Brunswick or Nova Scotia, it's pretty far. You cannot go every weekend to your hometown. You need to fly, so you will do it once, twice, maybe three times a year. People you love will be not around you. You will not be able to go to your favorite park or restaurant easily. And it's also important to realize and not underestimate the stress of relocation inside big countries. So it's also important to be aware of. The second thing, it's important to be aware that we romanticize things about new places. When we didn't experience something, there are two things we are doing about it. Or we are fearing it and we're like over dramatic about it in a negative way, or we start to romanticize things we are not aware of. That's, by the way, how many manipulations work. When people are not familiar with something, you can manipulate them and you can make them fear or admire something they do not know much easier than something they do know. And we can see it a lot now happening in society about different issues that people have no idea about, but media is romanticizing them, and people think that this is great and they wish it will happen to our society, for example. Um, yeah, so this is something important to be aware of. The social media, posters, calendars, magazines are posting those beautiful pictures of different countries, like the most like pictures and um, tourist attracting places, most beautiful places of the country. No one is posting in a magazine just a, I don't know, regular residential neighborhood. It's something very, very like s- everyday, and not something like beautiful parks or beaches or downtown with amazing architecture. No one is thinking, let's put this regular houses and neighborhood on the cover of magazine and say Croatia, for example. No, let's do something beautiful. So yeah, so when we don't know the country, we've never been there, we are reading about it, we are looking at all those beautiful polished pictures, everything looks better, everything, and we start to romanticize it. And when we come to real life, We understand that to go to that beautiful building or to that beautiful beach, it's actually an hour drive from a neighborhood where I'm actually renting or buying, and I will not actually see it every day. And when you were moving, you were inspired by those images and those ideas, but it's not everyday life. There is a lot of routine in every country, like going grocery shopping and going I don't know, to work and using public transportation or standing in traffic in your car. And all this is not something we are thinking about when we are thinking about new country. So it's important to know that we romanticize things because media and all other sources are showing the best and more like glamorous parts of countries when we read about them elsewhere. Um, Also, some countries are better for you than others. As I told it in the beginning of the video, we're not the same, and something that works for one people doesn't work for other people. So it's important to know that not all countries are equal in a meaning of safety, how clean it is, how developed is the country, how many parks they have, how many, I don't know, beautiful buildings they have, how good is the medical systems, education systems, the public transportation, and all those aspects. So it's important to understand also that even if the countries are good and well developed, for one person, one country will be a better match than another. That is why it's good to work with decision making coach and to figure out what country is better match for you personally, for your family, your preferences, to understand your deal breakers. And when we know it, it helps us a lot, because if someone is telling you this is a good country or this is a bad country, maybe it is good for them. Even if they say, oh, I lived there for 5 years and I enjoyed it so much, you will love it. And then you move there and you don't love it at all. Did you have this experience when you were traveling to some location and you have a friend or coworker who said, "Oh, I've been there on vacation. It was wonderful." And you go there and it's not nearly wonderful. You really like want the vacation to end. You think, okay, it was a pretty waste of money. It's not my vibe. It's not my vibe. It's not my city. It's not my thing. I will not return to this destination. Or you can have the opposite situation when you really, really enjoyed a vacation and you are telling it to your colleagues. And one colleague that been there also said, "Yeah, I been there. Like just a city. Like I like another city much more." Like I had this experience when I was in London in 2000, I think 15. Situation in London was much better than it's now. Overall in Europe, it was much safer and cleaner, and it was great to travel. And I thought that I really enjoy London. And he said, I've been there. I didn't like it at all. I like Paris. Okay, it's personal preferences. So it's very important to understand few things. Your personal preferences can be very different from preferences of other people, and their recommendation will not always be helpful to understand if it's a good match for you. And the other thing is, again, not all countries are equal. Not all countries are the same. Not all countries are safe. Not all countries are good for, I don't know, weather. And there's so many parameters that you need to check to understand what is good for you personally. And last but not least, it's important to understand that immigration, no matter where you move, the best country in the world that you imagine. Now you're getting a letter, you open it, ta-da, you have a citizenship. It's wonderful, but still, there is no way that everything will be better in a new place. There are some things that will be better and some things that will be worse. And it's important to be aware of it and be prepared to this. That some things will improve in your life, but some things actually will be lost, and some things will be not lost completely, but the quality of this experience will be not as good as it was in your home country. being aware of all those things really help you to be more mentally prepared to immigration. And again, I'm saying it for my personal experience, because when I was an adult, I analyzed my personal experience of my first immigration was a teenager. Also, I learned a degree in behavior science, and I learned a lot of things related to decision making coaching and to immigration and psychology behind this. And when I moved to United States, I was much more prepared, and my immigration process and coping with this was much more effective and healthy for me than it was when I moved to Israel without being mentally prepared, even if I wanted to move. So I hope that this video will find you well, that this video will be helpful. Please leave me your comments in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to support you and to be part of your journey. If you feel that you're planning to immigrate and you need support and you need decision making coach that will go with you through this process, please contact me and I'll be happy to work together. Have a wonderful day.